Monitor Comprehension, Level D, Lesson 26. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to use visual clues as a strategy for reading difficult words, make connections to background knowledge to better understand a text, make inferences based on details from the text. What you should know before doing this lesson. Readers can use various strategies to help solve tricky words. Characters have feelings and thoughts just like real people. Readers can use their own experiences and their reactions to them to connect to the character and his experiences. Readers can use details to make inferences about how characters feel. Some awesome words to look at before we read. Brilliant. Say the word. Brilliant. Brilliant is an adjective. It means exceptionally clever or talented. A synonym for brilliant is genius. Sturdy. Say the word. Sturdy. Sturdy is an adjective. It means strongly and solidly built. A synonym for sturdy is strong. Initial. Say the word. Initial. Initial is an adjective. It means occurring at the beginning. A synonym for initial is start. Follow along and listen as I read Race Day. Every year, the students at Teton General Elementary School eagerly awaited the arrival of Race Day. There were races for each grade. Then there was the final race among the winners of all the grades. This was no regular foot race. It was a car race. The teams built their own cars for Race Day. Charlie was excited to learn who was on his team. This year will be different, Charlie thought. My teammates will like my idea this time. In years past, Charlie's ideas were not very popular. In first grade, Charlie's job was to figure out what the team should use to build the car. He thought construction paper would be great, but the rest of his team said no. Charlie hung his head. They were right. It was a bad idea. Another team used construction paper, and their car blew the wrong way in the breeze. In second grade, Charlie's job was to decorate the car to show how fast it was. "Let's paint it yellow with black spots, like a cheetah," he exclaimed. His team said, "No." They painted the car red with a lightning bolt. It looked pretty cool. It was better than a spotted car. This year was time for Charlie to shine. Mr. Zane called out the team names. Charlie, Jason, Julia, and Thandar sat around a table and shared ideas. At first, Charlie was quiet. He didn't want Thandar to make fun of him. She wasn't mean, but she was very smart. Jason acted like he knew everything, but he was puzzled by this project. He was new at the school, so he didn't have the racing history the others did. Julia was good at drawing. She started making pictures of the ideas the others shared. Charlie gathered his courage. "If I don't tell them my brilliant idea, they won't be able to like it," he thought. "I think the key to winning is in the wheels," he said. "They have to be sturdy and still turn fast." His teammates agreed. "Instead of cutting out wheels and trying to make them as round as possible, I think we should use these." He pulled 4 metal bottle caps from his pocket. They had perfectly rounded sides and were definitely sturdy. "That's a great idea," Thandar said. The rest agreed. Charlie smiled. It took a week to get the car together and rolling smoothly. The team was really happy and thought it was sure to win. When race day came, the whole school ran up the hill to the starting line. "Because you came up with the winning idea, you can give the car its initial push, Charlie," Julia said. Charlie's face lit up with a grin. This year was very different. The third grade racers lined up with their cars. On your mark, get set, go! Charlie gave his car a shove. He and his team watched excitedly as the car sped down the hill to victory. Introduction. You will find some new words when you read. You can come up with tricks to help you read tricky words. You can use what you already know to help you understand the story. Sometimes writers don't tell you how a character feels. Instead, they expect you to figure it out from what the character says, thinks, or does. Look at the highlighted words. Start with the word team. The letters EA work together to stand for what sound in this word? The long E sound. When you see EA, picture Charlie's team to help you figure out how to say tricky words like this one. Look at the words eagerly and each. They also have the long E sound. What do you know about car races? How does it feel when someone doesn't like your ideas? You can use what you know to help understand Charlie's experience. Look at the first sentence in paragraph 2. Read it with me. This year will be different, Charlie thought. My teammates will like my idea this time. What do Charlie's thoughts tell you about how he feels? He's hopeful because he tells himself that his teammates will like his ideas. Practice 1. Use visual cues. Use strategies to help read tricky words. Let's see what we can make up to help remember tricky words. What do you notice about the blue highlighted words? When a vowel is followed by an R, the R takes over and causes the vowel to stand for another sound. Usually the letter I sounds like I or I, but when it is spelled IR in a word, the R changes the sound the vowel makes, and now we hear The same thing happens with the sound of the vowel A. Usually we hear A or A, but when spelled with R, like in the word car, the R changes the sound the vowel makes to R. Now, take a look at the really tricky word figure. What sound does the U usually make? And U. How does the R change the sound in figure? Now we hear yer. What is this word? Which letter is silent? W. What does the W usually sound like? W. How does the R change the sound in wrong? Yes, it makes the W silent. Practice 2, make connections. Use personal experiences to connect to characters. When you read, think about what you know. Think about things you have done that are like what the character does. Look at this part of the story. What happened when Charlie was in first grade? The text tells us he wanted to build the car out of construction paper, but his teammates said no. What is it like doing a group project? What do you have to do to work well in a group? You need to know how to get along, make decisions together, and listen to others. How would you feel if your teammates all said no to an idea of yours? You might get upset, feel disappointed, or even get mad. Can you make connections between your own experiences with group projects and Charlie's experience? Practice 3, making inferences. Use details to make inferences about how characters feel. Paying attention to what the characters think and do will help you figure out how they feel. Look at the following part from the story. In paragraph 7, what does Charlie think to himself? The text says, "If I don't tell them my brilliant idea, they won't be able to like it," he thought. What do his thoughts tell you about how he feels? He's nervous to share his idea because he's afraid the others will say no. However, he is hopeful because he gives himself a pep talk. Look at paragraph 8. How does Charlie feel about what Thandar said? He is pleased here. And how do we know? Because the text tells us he smiled when she said that he did a great job and the other teammates agreed. Reviewing concepts is a good idea. In this lesson, we talked about tricky words. We can use visual clues or spelling patterns as a strategy for reading difficult words. We talked about making personal connections. When you make connections to text, it deepens your understanding. We made inferences. We used details from the text to make an inference. And we read the awesome words brilliant, sturdy, and initial. Assignment. Directions. Reread this part of Race Day. Make 2 inferences from the story, one about Charlie's feelings and one about his teammates' feelings. Support your inferences with details from the story. Show your teacher your hard work. Bring the completed paper to the next Zoom class or take a picture and upload it onto Canvas.